I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Sorry about all the confusion.
No, no, that's fine. That's fine. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, welcome everyone. This is Amplified Episode 3 with Scott. Please introduce yourself. The floor is yours.
Sure. Sure. So my name is Scott Mckee. I'm a barber from the U.S. I live in Bloomington, Illinois, about a couple hours from Chicago. I've been barbering for about almost 3 years now, but mainly part time. So I'm actually I work in the corporate world as well for a very large insurance corporation, doing cybersecurity or managing a cybersecurity team. So barbering's been kind of my passion for a long time. I started cutting hair back when I was in the Navy, military, and we kind of cut hair in the barracks because guys wanted to spend their money on food and alcohol instead of getting a crappy $5 haircut at the base barber. So we bought a set of clippers and started cutting each other's hair and started um, cutting hair that way. Started getting good at it, and so everybody started coming to me. So I did that for a time period, and then when I ended up on my submarine that I was on, of course, when we're isolated like that, I started cutting hair on the submarine as well. So it's just always been something I've really enjoyed doing. I enjoy the not only the aspect of just creating something that looks good, but the aspect of sitting and meeting new people, building those relationships, kind of being, it's always, I've always heard it compared to being like a bartender, right? You start to be, or a counselor, right? You start to share information with your customers and talk through maybe sometimes some serious, very serious topics. So I've always really enjoyed that aspect of barbering as well. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping that I can slowly migrate out of the corporate world and into full-time barbering. But right now I work about, 3 days a week in the barber shop. So I'll do my normal corporate job, and then I'll go in on a Friday and Saturday about 3 o'clock, work till about 7 o'clock at night, and then all days on Saturdays. So keep pretty busy between the two jobs. But yeah, I love it. And if I could just quit my corporate job today, I wouldn't in a heartbeat. But got a young family, couple young daughters, so get them through some schooling and stuff, and we'll be on our way to a full time barber.
That's crazy because I never knew that you were part-time barber. I thought you were working in the shop full-time.
Yeah, no, I would love to be. I love the environment. I love that. The kind of that community feel of the barbershop and giving back, people coming in to visit just to pop in and say hi and see how it's going, not even just to get their haircuts. But yeah, it's part-time gig for me right now.
So, I want to know how you got into barbering. Who influenced you? What made you start? I know that you said you were in the military, you said you started,
Yeah,
but how
military.
did you, how did you learn? Like, who was it? Was it Chris Bosio? Because I've met you through Foundation, so how
Absolutely.
did it
Yeah.
start?
Again, so in the very beginning, it was just trial and error, right? Picking up the clippers and learning to cut people's hair. And in the military, not too many different hairstyles, right? All pretty short hairstyles. So really not a lot of scissor cut or anything like that. But yeah, once I went to barber school here in the U.S., learned most of the foundational stuff. You learned, really what I needed to do in order to pass, the state boards and the exams and that kind of stuff. But really just felt like, I didn't have a well-rounded toolkit. So started watching a lot of different barbers on YouTube. Chris Basio was one of the big ones. Watched a ton of his videos. Watched a lot of 360 GZ, David Falla. Watched a lot of his videos. You know, and I still watch a ton of their videos. But those are some of the big ones at first. Rum Barber, I really like their videos, the way that they explain, especially the scissor cuts. They do a great job. And Chris Basio does a great job in his tutorials of even the YouTube free ones of kind of explaining what he's doing. So those are really kind of how I started um, to learn, more techniques or different ways of doing things to try and improve, what I had learned in the barber shop or actually in barber school.
how did you manage to sign up for foundations? Because a lot of people don't know in the OP World group, Facebook group, that in the foundations, Chris actually teaches you block graduation. That was my
Hmm.
first encounter with, actually, no, my first encounter with block graduation was Chris through his YouTube channel. But then
Yep.
pre foundations, it's actually part of the curriculum. So,
Yep.
so when did you sign up for full foundations, and what did you learn in free foundations?
Yeah. So I think, foundations at the time for me, I learned it through just hearing about it um, from Chris, on his YouTube videos, mentioned it a couple times, and looking it up on the Tomb 45 website, and just kind of, trying to understand what it was and what you would get out of it. And then I pulled the trigger. I'm definitely one for believing in continuing education. Being in the IT world and information security, you've got to continue to learn. You can't just sit and rely on the information you gained, 2 to 3 years ago or whatever. So I'm not, not necessarily afraid to spend the money to continue my education. So I invested. Foundations, at the time, and even still now, I'll still go back and watch some of the videos. Um, Definitely filled a gap. Really talked about the scissors and what they're used for, what thinning shears are used for. Again, different techniques to set up the foundation of your haircut and establish that foundation. He talked about block graduation and cross graduation, and showed how to do some different haircuts, some crop haircuts, some pompadour haircuts, and really started to learn the techniques. So I was able to start apply those and start to learn, about how to make them work and do those things in the barbershop while I'm actually cutting hair. Um, so it was very, very beneficial at the time. Kind of filled in some of the gaps that barber school didn't teach.
Yeah, definitely. And funny enough, my first job was in IT as well
Oh, awesome.
when I was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's funny that you're in IT, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so that's why I just said that was kind of funny. But with foundations, after foundations, what was the next step? Was it straight the OP world, the
No, no.
fundamentals?
So, again, really started watching and started looking for the why, right? So Chris did a good job of explaining block graduation and cross graduation and why you were doing some things, but more the technique of this is what you would do in order to get this. I was still kind of hungry for that why. If I ended up in a situation or a haircut that I didn't know, how would I or why would I apply a certain technique over another? I was still kind of hungry for, so I got some of that from Run Barber. Again, they do a good job of teaching, but you can only get so much from a 15-minute video, right, on YouTube. And so I was really looking for that. And I'd heard about Josh. Chris had even mentioned Josh. I actually went to a hands-on. I flew down to Tampa, Florida, and went to a 4-day, 5-day hands-on course with Chris Basio. So me and there was 4 other people. So a pretty intimate set up, where we flew down there and we did 4-day. I think it was 4 or 5 days.
What did you
Um,
learn?
um, all kinds of stuff. Actually, a lot of stuff that
Josh,
Josh teaches. Again, the block graduation. We did mannequins. We had models. Of course, it was all pre-COVID. It was in December of 2019, and so before a lockdown or anything like that. And he mentioned that he took a Josh OP hands-on course, and this was some of the stuff that he had learned. And that was where I really first started hearing the name about Josh OP, was from Chris. But we learned a lot of the same things. We learned the block graduation, and we learned, I didn't know what it was called then, but kind of line theory and how you can change, how you're directing your fingers to change the shape of the haircut. And I remember doing a pompadour haircut on a mannequin where he had us down at the bottom, keep it longer, but change the angle out. So very similar to one of the haircuts that Josh teaches um, in his course, right? And so that was another name that just stuck with me. So I started watching some Instagram, looking them up on Instagram and that kind of thing. And I popped on. I was happened to catch one of his. I took a break at work during the day in order to catch one of his live videos, where he was talking about his coursework, his online coursework there in the beginning. And after just talking to him and interacting through one of his live sessions, I had a really good feeling that I was going to start to get some of that why. Why are you doing this? What does this mean when you turn your hands this way or you direct your fingers this way? What will that do? What will be the end result? So really that why of why I was doing certain techniques. And so that was kind of the clincher for me. So after I watched the video, I kind of signed up that day, or not the video, the live stream. I signed up that day for the OP Barber World course, online course. So, that was kind of the start, of really, really learning and understanding, right, that purpose,
Yeah.
what we're trying to do and what is the purpose and the different things that I'm doing. And I've loved it since, right? I've learned a ton over this past year.
Yeah. I don't think it wasn't until I signed up for Josh's course where I truly understood what I'm actually doing and why I'm doing it. Because prior, for example, Ron Barber's videos, for example, it's a free YouTube video, it's fantastic, but he says, pull up to the section and make your first cut. But I'm thinking, why am I taking this cut at this certain angle? Why? Like,
Yep.
I feel like I know it works, but I feel like I'm cutting blind. I don't know why it works. Even with foundations, the block graduation, I would do it, but I would always be imbalanced. Like there was not that thing of this is this, this is that. But when it came to Josh, for the first time, I actually knew how to cut hair, like properly cut hair. So I want to know, how was your experience when you first encountered like the week 1 video, the week 2, week 3, week 4 video, where you saw the line theory, the block graduation, and how were you your first day at work when you saw the videos and implemented it at work? Was it like a massive difference? What was it?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I started watching the videos, it was just, this excitement. I was like, it clicked, right? I started seeing all of these techniques that these different barbers were using, and that I had learned, but I didn't really know why I was doing. I just knew that it worked. So it was excitement. So it was like, if it was a Monday, I couldn't wait to get back in the shop on Thursday so I could start trying them and really understanding them, right? Implementing them more and really helping me to make the cut even better. So it was just that pure excitement of, wow, I'm getting this, right? And I think that if I had a haircut walk in the door, a lot of times, at least in the US, barbers are like, man, you see somebody come in with long hair and you're like, oh, right.
Yes,
Barbers are like,
it's like
I'm
that here as well.
busy.
Don't worry.
I'm busy.
Yeah,
We're an all appointment based barber shop. So if they're scheduled with you, they're scheduled with you. So it got to the point where I slowly was becoming more and more comfortable. If they walked in, whether they just wanted it trimmed or they wanted some layers put in, or they wanted to take it down to a skin fade, I wouldn't have any problems doing that. And so that excitement and that gradual, I mean, I still have, it's like, whoa, what are they going to want? But I still, I have that that confidence because I have that understanding. Right.
yeah.
So that has been a huge, just feeling of accomplishment and success, for me through the coursework. I mean, this to me, Josh's online course has just been invaluable. And I'm looking forward to continue to grow, right? See what he's going to bring in the year 2.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah. So a lot of people do know that you are one of like the originals of the OP fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to Josh's work and all, we know that you won the competition. Where you had that pompadour, you won the competition. So do you have like a free 1 day with him education?
Yep.
So when are you going to plan to go down? Obviously, COVID obviously has delayed everything, but when do you plan to go?
So I'm actually hoping that, so he has in some of his US tour for next year in 2021, he has some dates scheduled. So he's got a session set up or a week class set up in Chicago, which is an option, right? I only have to drive 2 hours to it. But he also has one in Tampa, and so over the time, I've become pretty good friends with Chris Basio and his team, and so I'm hoping when I meet Josh that maybe I may just fly down and do Josh's course, down there. I can meet up with Chris and his team down there as well, and do the one-on-one down there during that time frame as well. So It'll be either in the Chicago one or probably in the Tampa one of the two, depending
Yeah.
on, again, how things are going with COVID.
Makes sense. Yeah. How did
Yeah.
you feel when you won?
It was funny because I was sitting with COVID. I got an English bulldog, and he's old, and I had to take him to the vet. And they come out to the car and they get him, they take him in, and I'm sitting there while I'm waiting, and I'm always watching videos. I mean, I was sitting in my car watching videos, and I flipped over to the Facebook because I saw a bunch of notifications coming in of congratulations. I'm like, what is this? And so I looked, and I think one of the first ones was you, Bhavan, and I appreciate all the support.
Pleasure.
And I was like, there's no way. There's so many talented barbers in this coursework. And I realized that October was about improvement. And I felt that I had improved a ton from when I started to where I was at that point. But I was just like, there's no way. There's no way I won this. But then I saw it coming, and there was just this overwhelming, joy,
Yeah.
right? Hey, I am learning this stuff, and people are seeing it. I knew that my customers were seeing it because they were starting to make comments. They were like, hey, not that your haircuts weren't great before, but man, what are you doing? So they were asking about what I was doing. And so I would tell them about the coursework that I'm doing and how that was working, doing online, courses and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was just overwhelming. I was completely surprised.
You completely deserved it, man. The improvement was. I don't think there was anyone else that was going to win it but you. Just like you said, the customers realized. And one thing about customers is they don't realize how, like, not the haircuts that were bad. Like, my haircuts weren't bad before, but they don't realize what a truly good haircut is after you don't give it to them,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, like, what kind of things in DFS do you still go, I get it, but I don't really understand it like 100%? Because for me, that thing you posted today with the pink hair.
Yeah.
I was literally thinking of that yesterday. I was like, hold on a second. How does he know? Does he do it like when he goes with the level or the top of the ear, he does that, or does he pull the section out and then with the fading as well?
Yeah.
Like, is he stacking guard? Is he good? What things for you still are like?
Yeah, so obviously the stacking the guards, or is he stacking the guards or isn't he? How what number of guards is he going actually up and through the foundation? So when we're talking about the fading and the blending down portion of the system, for me, that I struggled with that for a while because I kept feeling like I had a ton of weight, at the foundation, and what was causing that. And you've been helping me, and as well as some others. Lee's been helping me answer questions, and from Loft Barbers, and just a ton. Everybody's been helpful, but I still felt like the haircuts were coming out good, but I had to go back with some clipper over comb or scissor over comb, to remove that weight and get a nice blend. And after the last time, we had some discussion back and forth, you and I went back into the barber shop, and I'm like, okay, let me think about what I'm doing. And it was really also a comment that Josh made. And he was like, think about, because I think someone asked a similar question, think about what's actually behind your fingers, and what hair is actually behind the fingers that you're cutting to set your foundation. So I started thinking about, am I really creating my foundation on the parietal ridge, or am I going too low, which is causing me to pull more hair down and create that weight? And so actually the other day, I was really conscious. I actually even took, because I think the client was wondering what I was doing. I took the comb and I put it up against the side of his head to see, okay, am I misjudging where the parietal ridge is at on some of my clients? And what I found is that I think that what I was doing was pulling that, as I'm setting that box graduation, as I'm setting that guideline, I think I was pulling it down too far and creating a bunch of weight from the hair on top instead of pulling, more straight out, right where the parietal ridge is at. And I did that on a couple clients, and I had a couple fades that day, and it worked much better. So, the 3 up through the foundation, the 2 open, the 2, and it worked much, much better. I didn't have as much weight. So I think that was definitely part of my problem. So that one caused me, again, the haircuts ended up okay, but I had to go back and do more work, right, to clean up the weight previously. So I think I'm getting that one down better, but I started going back and rewatching some of the creative cuts. I don't get a lot of chances here in the US to cut some of those styles, those creative crops or some of the, longer with scissor cuts. So that's why I was going back and looking at that one. And as I was looking at it, I'm like, man, how does he know that he's pulling each section out to the same angle. I'm like, I think he's got to be pulling some of the hair from the previous section so that he sees that guideline as well.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've been going back and watching some of those because I want to try some. If I can get some customers to, you know, let me do a creative cut first and then cut their normal haircut, maybe schedule it after hours or something.
Or do it on a dolly head.
Or do it, do it on a mannequin
head.
head. Yep. And so I'm going to start practicing some of those just so I can set some of those theories and those whys, you know, in my brain even better, right? I can know, okay, now I truly understand line theory. I know what I'm doing. I know how to create the shape if I want to create it. So that's now I'm starting to go back and really study those creative cuts.
Yeah. With your foundation, it can be lower, but then what we have to do, you have to elevate more to remove that weight, or it just won't blend in. And Josh always says level with the hairline. So I always I get my comb, I do this, and then pull out the back, and I never have a problem. But I had a problem with fading because I thought I was scared to put my 1.5, my 2 near the foundation. So what happened is it would just be so much weight because I wouldn't even be going into the foundation. What I do, I get the comb and literally go up, put the heel and go up. So when you do that, you're actually going into it. And also, I've noticed that here's 1.5. It literally...
They go up in there too, yeah.
It literally goes into... I was like, because the first time I said, wait, what? I was thinking, wait, so why use the 3 then? But what it is when you use the 3, it's a perfect blend. So the blend is done. If someone says number 3, it's done. Just a little bit scissor over comb. But then what he does is when he's done like his 0.51, then blends down, all that's going to do is going to make the foundation more straight because the guards are like 1 and 0.5. The guards are less deep. And the less deep the guards are, that's why when you line up, you do it with trimmer because the trimmers are very, very thin. You can get a straight line. So all you're doing when you go in, you're just straightening the foundation here. It just gets more and more prominent. In the first fading video, he even says that. He says, do you notice how when we go back, the 4 panels, the foundation gets more straighter? And that's why. Because the guards are more...
I'll go back and watch that one, Yeah, and I think
it takes a long time.
Your comment of using the heel too as you're going straight up.
You have to.
Helps.
Because it does an automatic flick out. When you do, people do that, flick out to avoid cutting this hair here. But when you do that, the heel goes up anyway. Chris mentioned that in the foundations one.
He did,
video I showed you. So that's my understanding. Using the 1.5, all it does is it goes slightly and hits the finer hairs of the foundation. So you're not actually cutting anything above it. You're cutting, so like Chris says that as well, it's like a half C. You cut what that line is and then go up. So all you're doing is really cutting the line that needs to be cut.
Down below,
And when you go up, same as flicking out, but I think this is, for me personally, is more understandable. But is there anything else that you're kind of like, I wish I could get a better understanding of it? Is there anything else, or was it just those 2?
You know, as I've been going back through, I'm sure there'll be some other things, but you know, again, I think it's hard watching a video sometimes and not being able to ask the immediate question. You know, if you were in a live, you know, one-on-one session or a class, but I think for me right now, those were the 2 main ones. But again, I'm sure there's going to be something come up because I think the nice thing about the videos is you can go back and watch them as many times as you want, right? So as you learn one element and you understand it, you catch something new the next time you watch it because now you understood the previous thing. So I think there's going to be more things that come up. Obviously, you know, I'm still learning and will continue to learn for a long time. But
and the good thing is you're going to have a one-to-one with him, so you can ask him as many things as you like, and he will literally show you. He will literally be showing you. But
I'm excited to meet. I'm excited to meet Josh. I mean, the energy that he shows in the videos, I can't imagine what that's like. Just even in a, you know,
he's a fantastic guy. I think until you don't see him, you will never truly like know how he is. Because if you just look at him, you're like, oh, he's just a barber. But when he talks and you know him, you can actually get inspired by the things he says.
You see it, yeah.
Because a lot of courses, it's just like, hi guys, okay, let's get started. Josh is like, hi guys, and he motivates you. He tells you your why, who you are, what you want to do, and he never says, I'm gonna show you my system and that's it. He's gonna say, I'm gonna show you how you want to cut hair.
Right. Right.
So what
Well,
adaptations have you done to your style, or do you literally follow everything Josh does?
no, I think there's, um, I think for me, learn as much as you can. I think, it's like a framework, right? Take what works for you, take what doesn't work for me. You may take from other, people who have inspired you, and you kind of end up developing your own system, right? Because otherwise it's too mechanical, in my opinion,
Yeah,
to say, okay, step one, I got to do this because that's the system. Step two, I got to do this. Um, and even for even before, which Josh's system has helped me tremendously, even with my fades, but even with Chris, I still struggled with fades because I was trying to do exactly what he did. Well, why did he do that? And so I'm going to do that, instead of, again, trying to figure out what works for me and what system works for me, and adapting that. And I think that goes, that's the same for a lot of things, in life. I trained in martial arts for a long time, and you can learn a system, but if you're so rigid to following that system and you don't learn things and bits and pieces from other systems that work, you're missing out, right? Because I think it's the same thing with barbering. Um, you can learn a lot from a lot of different people, and then it becomes more organic to you, right? I mean, it becomes a part of you versus just something you've got to mindlessly follow, I guess is the
yeah.
best way I can explain it.
And for example, like I do judo, so
Mm-hmm.
when I'm doing judo, I can't think about doing a judo move. Like if I'm in a street fight, I can't have say, right, I'm gonna right now do Ippon Seoinage on him.
Right.
But what if Ippon Seoinage doesn't work? I'm like, oh, okay, Ippon Seoinage, like you're just trying to force it. But with
Yep.
the haircuts, I don't want to think, right, I'm gonna do this. I want to think, right, the head's quite flat here. I want to build some weight, maybe build some weight to make. I'm basically tailing the haircut to the person, not thinking about
Mm-hmm.
the system, but thinking about what this client requires. Then you do the system,
Correct. Yep.
and that's what you said by not being too mechanical.
Yep.
So with the fades, do you still struggle with the fades?
No, I think obviously each canvas is different. The different courses, different density of hair. Some of those guys. I still got one client that, I'm learning his hair, but he's got real super coarse, dark, very dark hair, very pale scalp. So every little imperfection shows, right? And then he's even got spots where he's got multiple, hairs growing out of the same follicle. So you get those dark spots, and figuring out how to deal with those, or the bumps in the head. But no, I think the fading, I've got down. It's just a matter of continuing to get reps in and getting better and better at it.
Yeah,
I will say that, Josh's fading system is a little bit different than Basio's, and a little bit different
very
than some
different.
others, right? So it's taking a combination, and figuring out what works for you. So I kind of use a combination of the two of them a little bit, depending on the hair type, right? And so it's gotten much better. So.
Yeah, sometimes like my father, for example, I've tried to do skin fade on him. He has too many imperfections. But then when I
Mm,
switched to like a taper fade, he was much happier.
looks beautiful.
Because
Yep.
instead of trying to fight the hair, give him something that will suit him better. And I think
Exactly.
a lot of clients would actually appreciate that.
Yep. Yep. My brother-in-law is like that, man. He likes a fade, but he's got so many dimples and folds in his head, in his scalp. And I'm just like, man, I could work on this for hours and just not do it justice. How about we
Yeah,
do more of a taper fade, do a nice taper on the bottom, and bring it to a length where everything looks even versus, having all these divots where it's darker. And yeah, so we've got him to a point where he likes his hair, really loves his haircuts. But at the beginning, it was just like, man, this is tough. So once I learned that through, again, through the coursework with Josh, and really understanding, how to consult with folks and find what works best for them versus just giving them what they want, right? Um, is kind of the key, right? Understanding the person and
yep,
understanding, um, kind of the aspects they're looking for and being able to
that's amazing.
tailor a cut to them.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I struggled with was when Josh used to say, I don't tell my clients how much to take off.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, but if I do that in my barbershop, they will let you get up like, what are you doing? But
Right.
Do you understand that? Do you understand what that
Um,
means and stuff?
I still, I still struggle with that a little bit. I think what he's getting at is you talk to him about what shape they want, what look they want, that type of thing, and then you as the barber cut it to the appropriate length to create that shape for them. Um, and and then if you didn't, if they come back and say, well, I want it shorter, then maybe the consultation wasn't right or you didn't understand what they wanted. But obviously you can go back and do the haircut for them again, but maybe explain to them why the shape is, the shape is more important than the length. Is kind of what I understand from it, but I still struggle with it, in the shop. I'll cut it to where I think the shape looks good for a specific haircut, whether it's a pompadour, or a slick back or a comb over side part. And sometimes they just want it, they just want that short. I've got a haircut out there. The guy's he's military and do a skin fade on him with the side part. And I keep telling him we need to let the front grow just a little bit so it'll, come back nice. But he likes it really short. So it kind of
Yeah.
sticks straight up into the side. But that's, in the end, that's the way he likes it. So we cut it for him like that. Even though I've explained it to him, but I think it's a matter of just trying to work with them. And if they want it the way they want it, I'm going to give it to them. But I understand that now going into it instead of leaving it longer and then having to cut it again for them. So.
Yeah. Well, my understanding of it is if a client's coming for a regular fundamental haircut, when you pull out the back and then you see the short bit, long bit in the middle, that basically means, because it's a regular client, like let's say he has a regular skin fade.
Yep.
When you cut the top, usually the client is going to ask for that much length anyway, because it's more of like a tidy up on top. It's very rare a customer comes in every time for a skin fade and then every time wants it really, 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 really short, unless they're having like a buzz cut. Right. That's my understanding. And if the client wants it shorter, then my foundation has to be a bit shorter, still preserving the crown, but then the foundation is a bit higher than usual if they want really short. And obviously if they want like not too short, not too long, then just the natural that we do. That's my understanding from it. But keep rewatching, and in year 2, I think is going to explain all of these further. More. So that's going to be exciting. Yeah. You're going to sign up for year 2?
I am, definitely.
So when it comes to the haircuts, you feel confident, obviously, and now everything's fine. Could you please tell me like your step-by-step with DFS? Just so we all know that we're on the straight, like we meet eye to eye and we're doing the same system. For example, I'm going to say what I think about DFS, like what to do. Then let's see if your explanation matches mine. So let's say, go for it.
Oh, go ahead.
So first we section for a forward haircut. We section. We create the foundation. We split in the middle from growth pattern to growth pattern. Connect that to the foundation. Come forward, and you should see a long bit in the middle and a short bit on the sides. That's where you take off. Then, if it's a clipper work, you put your free in. For a backwards, simply split in the middle, create your foundation, and then from the back, comb out, and then create your silhouette, and then come back down for precision.
Yep.
Then, if you don't want too much weight here, you elevate, cross graduate.
Yep.
And now you explain, like, is that how you do it?
That is. The only difference for me would be if it's going to be a side part. I don't do so backwards haircut as long as the hair is not kind of trying to grow, because he does a cut in one of his more recent videos where it's a side part, but he still cuts it as a forward cutting haircut because I think the person's hair kind of grows forward and then he just pushes it over. But a side part that kind of combs backwards.
Side pompadour, basically.
Yeah, like basically side pompadour.
Yeah.
So I don't split it down the middle and then do the foundation around the back and then to the sides and then cut the length. I basically do it on one. I do half of that. So I'll do the foundation. I actually just do a horseshoe parting, and then I'll do I'll create the foundation starting in the back. I'll do that all the way around, and then what I'll do is I'll bring on the side with the part. I'll part it, get my part set, and I'll bring that over. And then I'll connect the crown area into my foundation. Right. And I kind of part out my style or my fringe, so I don't cut into that, and make sure everything connects. And then I'll cut the top. I'll make sure that I've got a nice length on the top, appropriate length.
Cool. And will you be attending the OP Awards?
Yes, yes. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to
looking forward
meeting
to it.
everybody.
We get to see everybody, and it's going to be a good
Yeah,
interaction. Yeah, and
yeah, it'll be
I
a good
believe that's
time.
where we get our certification as well.
Yes, yep,
Yeah,
yeah. I just hopefully COVID,
keeps
cooperates
us
with us,
alone.
and we can do it in 2021.
2021. Yeah. So I've really covered everything that I wanted to, man. Is there anything that you want to say, man? It's your time.
Yeah, I just, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting
Pleasure.
me to do this. It was an honor. I told my wife, hey, one of my peers in this coursework wants to do a kind of a podcast or a live stream with me that'll be recorded for the course, and she's like, wow, that's pretty impressive. That's awesome. So I appreciate that. It's very much an honor.
Pleasure.
Very much flattering. And I appreciate all the support you've been giving me, and
My pleasure, man.
helping me along learning different techniques.
Thank
And
you
then
too.
obviously Josh, right? I appreciate him, and appreciate his rapid response and responding to questions, and
Fantastic.
makes me wonder how he has a life outside of it. I'm
Yes.
sure he balances it well though, but and then just everybody else, this has been, I'm part of different, Facebook groups and barbering groups and whatever, but to me, this has been one of the best as far as learning from everybody, right? Everybody's so open to share, provide feedback, good, or bad, right? And I think that's good. You need to be willing to share, hey, if you did this, it would look even this much better, right? And not being afraid to say, you could tweak this. I think that's good, and I appreciate that. So, I just want to say thanks to everybody. I'm enjoying it, learning a ton. Really am looking forward to the awards, because I'd like to, be able to shake the hands of everybody, and hang out and learn about everybody that's in here. And so, again, just want to say thank you. I want to keep learning with everybody and help as many people as I can as well.
Yeah, thank you, man. And thank you very much for accepting my invite. It's been an absolute pleasure. And everyone in the OP family, they really like you, and just keep up the amazing work. And I wish you all the best for 2021, and stay safe. And just want to wish you the best, man.
Thank you. You too. Happy New Year, man.
You too, man. Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Got a New Year coming up. That we just all need to keep the energy up and continue to grow together, right?
Yeah. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. You take care. I'm gonna let you leave, and whatever you were doing, keep that up, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad. Bye-bye.